I'm truly, truly surprised at the chaos that's happening right now. I don't know if it's because I had just settled into Meghan promo mode and I was just waiting to get jars of jam thrown at my face along with whatever else.
Prince Harry's love for polo has always made headlines, but this time it's not for his performance on the field. Behind the glamour of the sport lies a growing scandal involving high-profile teammates, Meghan Markle's rumoured jealousy, and yet another royal fallout. Let's get into it.
But I am truly surprised that Prince Harry is having such a crap 2 weeks. What do you think?
I mean, the thing about Harry's, I've been trying to work this out, and in some ways, I say this very cautiously, but I kind of feel slightly sorry for him because he's not a clever man, he's not an intelligent guy, but he's trapped within his own culture, his own privilege, his own background. So he's so dim that he didn't really spot that a bunch of billionaires, quaffing champagne, playing polo in Florida, to raise money for dirt poor black African kids is a really, really bad look. It is the quintessence of white saviorism. And Harry is so thick, he couldn't see that. He's so dumb, he couldn't work that out. Now, we're all for raising money for kids who need it, and Centre Ballet was a good charity, is a good charity. A lot of kids lost their parents due to AIDS and HIV. A lot of kids themselves have AIDS or HIV because of the problems there in Africa back in years gone by. So it's a good charity, and raising money for it was a good thing to do. But these days, you have to be careful about the way you do that, because the way Harry was going about it was as if there was some kind of natural pecking order, that the superior people, the people at the top, were so kind that they're going to have a polo match to raise money for those poor little people at the bottom of the social scale. Now, Prince William, for example, is intelligent enough to spot those problems, and he goes to the ends of the earth not to let it happen. Do you remember when they went to the Caribbean, him and Kate, a few years back, and he got corralled into standing in the back of a sort of Land Rover, waving at the adoring crowds, and sort of kids trying to put their little local kids trying to put their fingers through a wire barrier to get, and it was a very, very bad look. And William spotted that, and he hated it. Everybody spotted it. And he's reorganised royal tours because of it. Harry isn't quite as perceptive as his brother. He's not as intelligent as his brother. Everybody knows that. And so he's been staging these awful fundraising events that look so, so bad. And still trapped within his own kind of bubble, his own privileged bubble.
Since relocating to the United States, Prince Harry has become a fixture on the Santa Barbara polo scene, riding with the elite Los Padres team. Polo isn't just a hobby, it's Harry's passion.
I think we're gaining a picture now that he has got no idea how to deal with people like Dr. Sophie Chandorka, the chairwoman of Centre Ballet, who obviously doesn't take any crap from anyone, and is putting this guy, this ginger prince, right in his place. And she obviously said, this is what the heart of this dispute is that resulted in Harry leaving. It is this, that Sophie was very uncomfortable about the way the money was being raised, the fundraising efforts. And she wanted to bring fundraising into Africa, to make Africa the centre of Centre Ballet's fundraising efforts. Harry rejected that. Oh no, I want to play polo. I want to have champagne with my friends and bring Meghan, and lovely, and it'd be fantastic. Raise money, So she obviously has said, look, this is uncomfortable. This is wrong. But Harry can't see it. And we've all seen that terrible moment where all of a sudden Harry brings Meghan along unannounced, so they didn't quite know. So at the end of the polo match, at the sort of cup presenting moment, there's Meghan on the stage, and then Dr. Sophie trying to get on the stage as well, and it's very, very uncomfortable. Everybody saw it and said, what on earth is going on here? Harry imperiously instructs Dr. Sophie to put out a statement defending Meghan. And she said, quite rightly, well, A, no, I'm not going to do it. And B, if you want to know why, it's because this is centre ballet. We're not a cheerleading operation for a brand Meghan, for a brand Harry and Meghan. That's not what we do. Now, when Harry learned that Dr. Sophie had said, no, I'm not going to put out a statement, what did he say? He said to her, would you care to explain yourself?
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently unpleasant and imperious messages
it's
to
white
her.
saviorism is what it is. It is, I'm the big white chief. And how dare this woman of colour stand up to me? I'm afraid, look, let's call it unconscious, because I think it is kind of unconscious. But what we're talking about here is racism. Unconscious, biased racism. And Harry, quite clearly to my mind, is as guilty as sin of this. I think it is dawning on him, and he is horrified. He cannot believe it, but I think he knows it's true. He is in a world of trouble, and I have no idea how he can get out of it. Richard Kay wrote in the Daily Mail this week, where is his royal brand now? His royal brand in 1 week flat has been utterly ruined. And by extension, that's not going to do Meghan any good at all. They stand accused of everything they've accused everybody else of. Suddenly, they're the racists. So good luck with that, Harry.
But now, insiders claim that this passion may be creating more drama off the field than on it. According to new reports, Meghan has been noticeably absent from recent matches.
There's a really great article from The Cut magazine that discusses Prince Harry's relationship with racism, and they accuse him of only acknowledging racism when it directly affects him or his family. But otherwise, they say one of the lines from the magazine is, it's telling that Harry didn't take a persistent stand against the British press's racism until the tabloids came after his wife and the problem became personal. Despite Harry's insistence on how much he's learned, Spare, this was their reaction to Spare, exposes his blind spots when it comes to race and the monarchy, and how much his complaints remain focused on his own experience. I think that it kind of is similar to what you're saying, that Prince Harry is so blinded by his own his
entire background, everything about him, his life. We're all in a way prisoners of our own life stories. A lot of people have the intelligence to step outside of that. I don't think Harry has got that. He can't spot it. Now, why, when they started accusing the British press of having a go at Meghan because of her race, because she's a woman of colour, absolute crap, total lies, absolute lies. It was never racism, nothing to do with racism. But why was Harry so keen on this? Well, Meghan, her entire life, as far as I can work out, has always found new and imaginative ways to play the victim card, and she sucked Harry into that world. Harry, really difficult for the fifth in line to the British throne, who, was born into this world, a multi-millionaire, will never know worries about money, will spend all his life in palaces, flying around in private jets. Very difficult for a guy like that to play the victim card. Suddenly, this is a bit of luck. I've got a wife who is a woman of colour. Therefore, she's a victim because she's a victim of racism, and by extension, so am I. I'm a victim too. Hooray! I've found a way to be a victim, which is what Sophie Chandorka is talking about. He said He plays the victim card all the time. Well, after this spat, I say spat, this furious fallout with Dr. Sophie Chandorka, we are never going to have to hear this nonsense from this privileged young man that he is somehow, I say young, middle-aged man now, that he is somehow a victim. And frankly, looking back on it, how dare he ever have played the victim card? And how
Well,
dare
you're
how dare he
absolutely
do
right.
that?
Because The Cut found a couple of tweets that I was surprised by. One says, "I think the sooner we all understand that Harry and his wife are not taking a stance against his colonialist family, but are just upset about not being able to participate in the way that they thought they would be able to, the freer we'll all be." Another said, "Meghan and Harry are doing all this not because they want to dismantle colonialism, but because they were not accepted by it. This social phenomenon is interesting and begs the question, what if the royals had embraced them? The public would be cheering for diversity and inclusion, question mark." So, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with those, but I am glad that somebody, I don't agree to the full extent. I don't think there's anything racist about the royal family today.
A stark contrast to her past appearances, where she stood proudly by Harry's side. Some insiders say she's grown jealous and frustrated, not just with Harry's time away, but with the social spotlight he shares with glamorous teammates, many of whom are former friends from his bachelor days.
But I do believe that the reason we saw such a meltdown from Harry and Meghan is because they felt excluded. They felt excluded. They were insecure, and that was all that it is. I don't think that there was any. I don't think anyone meant anything mean-spirited when members of the family asked what the baby would look like. Chris Rock did a great piece on it, which ended up on Netflix, one of his shows, about how everybody speculates about what a baby's going to look like. But, there was a pretty petty turn last night when I was just checking out the headlines surrounding this, Kevin. And it was Prince Harry giving one of his friends from Eton, Alex Rayner, permission basically to talk on his behalf. He says, H is very happy for me to speak for him about how he feels about this awful situation. And he says Harry's heartbroken, and it's like he lost his finger. I'd say he lost something, but it's below the belt, and they're probably in a jam jar sitting in the kitchen right now. I don't know if it's his finger, but he also says that he believes some of the accusations from Dr. Sophie may possibly spring from jealousy of Prince Harry's wife, Meghan. Alex told the Daily Mail, "It feels like she had her nose put out of joint because she was not the most important woman of color on the stage." How immature. I mean,
Shocking. It's a shocking thing to say, Kinsey. And let me just say this. I'll tell you, it's a racist thing to say.
That's what I was thinking.
As if women of colour all fight with each other to be the top woman of colour at any event. It's a racist thing to say, a disgusting thing to say as well, demeaning to Dr. Chandorka. She doesn't deserve that. What on earth does Harry think he's playing at? Putting forward his mates, his posh mates, to speak to him. I would have said, if I was advising Prince Harry, and for the right fee, I'm available, by the way, if you're watching Your Majesty or whatever you call yourself.
Well, wait, I didn't want to interrupt you before, but I will interrupt you now. The fact, I don't know if we've had this discussion, and we'll have, and it relates to something down below too in our rundown. But the fact that Harry and Meghan are asking Dr. Sophie to defend them tells me that they are watching every single thing that's said and written about them, Kevin, because that video was not circulated on Inside or Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight or those puffy outlets that kiss their butt. That video wasn't circulated there. It was people like you and I that had those conversations about how weird the video was. They are reading and listening to everything. There's your problem. Get a freaking job. You have too much time on your hands.
Exactly right. Get a job and get a life. As I was saying, I would advise Harry, it's too late now, but don't go near this argument. Don't start fighting with Dr. Sophie Chandorka in public, because it's already going pear-shaped. What that guy Alex Rayner said is an absolute disgrace. And if I was Harry pretty soon, I would say, well, Alex Rayner said that I entitled him to speak for me. I didn't, because that is a really bad thing, what Rayner said. Oh, it's about women of colour fighting. Absolutely disgraceful, disgraceful. But, you know, Harry doesn't stand a chance in this fight, in this dispute, because, you know, Dr. Sophie Chandorka is a woman, very obviously a woman of great achievement. She's a lawyer. She's worked for Meta. She's worked for all sorts of top organizations. She's African. She's from Zimbabwe. She's a woman of color.
She's the third highest. Her family's the third highest donor for Senebale.
Well, how can Harry argue with this woman? How can he justify himself getting into a public spat with this woman? He should never have let this guy Rayner go public. Absolutely terrible decision. The latest of Harry's dreadful, dreadful decisions.
From royal fields to California courts, the Polo scandal is more than tabloids. It's a glimpse into a relationship, a royal legacy, and a life under constant scrutiny.
As Richard Kay said in the Daily Mail, what price his royal brand now? What price the Sussex brand? Is it worth anything? Because Meghan was busy destroying it, you know, by cashing in and selling out, literally selling her royal self. Oh, buy my spoons, buy my towels. Really tacky, really tawdry. And then this row, frankly, in which, well, it's not frankly, it's a matter of fact, he's accused of racism, bullying, misogynoir, nice new word for us, hatred of black women, you know, the whole lot, mismanagement, everything. So Harry's reputation right now is in the toilet. It has never been worse. So take that, add it to old saleswoman Meg, buy this, buy that, you know, rag and bone lady flogging everything she can on the back of her alleged royal status, which is pretty low anyway. And what an awful couple. What do they think they're doing? You know, so their brand, I would maintain, is at rock bottom and will struggle to recover.
So that wasn't all that Alex Rayner said. He said that he talked about how Dr. Sophie refused to defend Meghan Markle. By the way, I hope to God we see those text messages that Prince Harry sent to her, because Senebale does acknowledge that they exist, but they told the media that they did not have permission to share the text messages, a spokesperson for Senebale. So we know that they exist. I am curious to see them. I would love to see them. But Alex Rayner said the chair should never have let that narrative take hold, that Meghan had caused an issue. If that narrative did take hold, then I would argue it is down to the chair to put it right. They could have issued a statement and put a stop to it, but they did not. Why? Again, the whole thing smells. It feels planned, and I suspect that the whole thing could only have come from the chair herself. I think that the Princess of Wales, Catherine, is the perfect example of you can't control the narrative. You can't control the internet. Even if she did step up and say nothing was weird, nothing happened, there would be people that would assume that Prince Harry and Meghan asked her to step in and defend her. The same way that I said to you, I think Ted Sarandos was told by the Sussexes, you need to step out and defend Meghan, after hundreds of people went off about how crappy her television show was.
Hundreds.
Yeah, thousands, okay?
Many thousands. Yeah.
So I do think that this is a regular occurrence, that Harry and Meghan ask people to defend them.
Yeah, you're right.
And I don't think that was her role.
Yeah. Constantly polishing their own image. As you say, I think you're absolutely right, Kinsey. They are unhealthily obsessed with themselves and their image and what people write. I've known a few long-term famous people, in my life, people like Paul McCartney and that, and they'll tell you, you just have to get to the point where you don't bother with it. You just get on with your life. If you obsess on everything that's ever written, every picture that's ever published of you, that way madness lies. And there's something slightly unhinged about these Sussexes right now.
I agree.
Very odd. You know, Harry's spinning out of control. He's got nothing to do now.
What do you think is really happening behind the scenes? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell because the royal drama, it's just heating up.